Good day, everybody. It's Calxiyn and Hunter here, and if you guys enjoyed this video, you guys should subscribe, become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, get our avatar reactions early, and follow me over on social media.
Is it an early? Can you really still call it early if the show was released in 2006?
Well, listen,
relatively early in the grand scheme of things, like 14 years late. But then again, YouTube didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
So what can we say?
We are doing our season 2 sort of review, discussion, all that stuff. So if you guys haven't watched our other reactions for some reason and you're just jumping into season 3 with us like now as of when we're uploading, these are sort of our encompassing thoughts, and this will also lead us in, you know, to the future and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna make sure that I have like the wiki of the episodes here, you know, just in case. It's been a while, okay? We do one a week. And there were, what, 23 episodes? That's 23 weeks. It's like half a year. Like, we spent half a year
We've certainly been
doing
taking
Avatar.
our sweet time with Avatar to an extent.
We have no choice. So I think that this season was batshit. Okay? Like, crazy. Like, crazy. It was just nuts. Okay? Because there were so many things that were just planted and then came back later. So, for example, like, we meet Toph and then the people are after her and the people don't come back until, like, all the way in Ba Sing Se, and, like, they pretend to be your mom and they capture her. And I'm just like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many little things like that.
That was like 18 episodes ago.
18 episodes ago, and they come back and they're like, you forgot about me, bitch? Surprised to see me? Like, that's basically how it is, right? And so episode by episode, I think that, you know, I remember the Cave of Two Lovers really well, because that was like they were divided, you know, by their families or whatever. Like, that was the sort of plot of it, like the earthbenders and the cave and like all that sort of stuff, and they were divided, and it's like, ooh, and so you sort of wonder how that fits in to stuff later, because you think of the two lovers thing, and you also think of Aang and Katara getting lost together, and then you think later in the season, like, Aang has to let Katara go and stuff like that to be able to do this stuff, and so it's all like, you know what I mean? Like, even the small story somehow circles back into it. Yeah, and I like that, man.
Well, you want to go through character to character, potentially?
I think that would be a good idea as well. I'm trying to remember, like, the most memorable episodes. I think the swamp thing, that was a little, that was the crazy one where I was like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, all of them are like that, but that's one of the episodes where we were 4 episodes in, and I was like, is this really season 2, Hunter? And then obviously, you know, like, later we find out that girl that's giggling is Toph, and it's all just like, whoa.
They planted. I also remember watching The Swamp when I was like 8 years old when this first came out. So it was a very kind of interesting experience, because I think I stopped watching it as a kid around the 3rd season, but I still have memories of like when it was first being released for a lot of these episodes.
Then there was Avatar Day, and I feel like those ones sort of talked about like these two sides of history, you know what I mean? Like,
historical revisionism.
You know how they say, like, you know, the winners get to write history or whatever? You know, it was sort of like that, and you sort of think about how that plays in with the Fire Nation and those sort of narratives as well, because you have sort of the same thing with Iroh, right? Like, Iroh is rumored to be like, oh, he was the Dragon of the West, you know? And all that sort of stuff. And
that was another thing that was
sort
up
of,
and then
I don't want to say revisionist history for that, but it's like, you know, history goes down as Iroh being sort of this very scary captain and all that stuff. He's just a sweet little young man. You know what I'm saying? And obviously he's changed since then, but that's one of the things. And so I like how all the themes of the episodes go back, like, you know, go back. They all come back. Even those, like, the Avatar Day one, like, we probably all forgot about, to be honest. Like, you know what I mean? By the time we got to these points. Zuko alone is probably one of the best episodes of the whole season.
What I really love about Avatar, and I think I'm picking this up more now than I ever did as a kid, is that how it's willing to take on, because it is ostensibly, because it is an adventure story about goofy kids, but it's also primarily a story about war. Yeah. And for a kid's show, I think it tackles the, I guess, the issues that affront war and it's the morality of war with like more ability and more nuance than I think a lot of film and media meant for adults do. Yeah. Because when you think about Zuko alone, it's ostensibly about how there's a lot of gray in war, because we look at these Earthbenders or Earth Nation soldiers that are oppressing this town, and you think like, well, these are the good guys. They have been the good guys the whole time, and now we see them be evil. And we see Zuko, who has been the bad guy the whole time.
And we also get that, too, with Ba Sing Se. And so you have sort of that metaphor, right? Like, the Earthbenders are oppressing the town, and then Ba Sing Se, they're all lying to the nation. Right? Like, that's the whole... That's the whole thing. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, have you ever realized how much these episodes connect to the other ones? Because I didn't until I'm looking at them right now. Like, everything seems to be involved with each other and somehow.
Something that was always particularly, I think, encapsulates this, I guess, nuance is the episode The Library.
Yeah.
Where you see the owl spirit that guards the library. It's just like, I don't like you fucking humans. You're all the same.
Yeah.
You all want to destroy each other. You think that... And that's his argument. It's like, listen, you guys think that you have a good cause, but everyone who ever came in here looking to destroy their enemy all thought they had the good cause. And I think that idea of...
And I thought that was interesting, because I'm like, Aang's the fucking Avatar. Like, is there not a prophecy about him saving the world, right? And he doesn't give a fuck. And so that's also interesting that even in the spirit world, they're just like, Avatar, Schmavatar, you know what I mean? Like, there's the spirits, there's the Avatar, and then there's the humans. And the humans are ants, the spirits are squirrels, the Avatar is a squirrel, and then, you know, the spirits are like human. They're the lion, they're at the top of the hierarchy. They cannot give even less of a fuck. It doesn't matter if you're the fucking Avatar. And they really do not care.
I think that really encapsulates this kind of anti-war
That
message.
makes me wonder if we are going to see more spirits in the future, because it's really only been the first two... You know what I mean? Like, once we got into the Ba Sing Se stuff, the spirits sort of disappeared.
That's
Whereas
true.
before... Like, there were a couple other ones, you know, like, there was obviously the owl, but there were more. And so I sort of wonder, like, if we're getting away.
There was, in the first season, there was the spirit that attacked the town.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking,
this season, and I think saved Aang when he was in the afterlife, which was a really interesting callback. It was such a deep cut that I had forgotten that panda... character even existed.
The thing that made me most angry about this season, and Hunter knows what I'm gonna say, and then we'll talk about characters individually, because we've sort of done the encompass of the episode of like themes of this season and sort of stuff like that. I mean, I think all the episodes are great. I think the last ones in particular, like especially with Zuko and Iroh sort of living in the town, in the kingdom, I guess I should say, like in the Earth Kingdom and all that stuff. Like, I feel like all of that stuff was really good, and all these episodes were really good. But let's talk about what makes me so fucking angry, okay? As a first-time viewer, you guys have to keep in mind, I don't know what you guys know or what you don't know, right? It's that Zuko, okay? And here's what makes me mad. I feel like it was a waste of my time. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that, like, in a bad way, like I wouldn't want to show. I mean that, like... Zuko drank his character development juice, and then he went back exactly how he was before. What was the fucking point? Like, that's what makes me mad. And so I'm not like, guys, like, oh, the show was a waste of time. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say. But I'm saying, like, as a person, if I was in Zuko, and I nursed him back to health, and I gave him his character development juice, okay, and he went back doing the same thing like he was before, that would be a waste of my time. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's how Iroh, you know, to some extent. I don't think Iroh feels, like, as strongly as I do. Like, he's just like,
do you think Iroh
you know what I mean?
would give up on Zuko?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he'll give up on Zuko.
Like, no matter how much Zuko fucks up,
yeah,
do you think
because Iroh fucked up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Certainly he does.
Right? And so, like, Iroh fucked up when he was that age.
That's an implication that you get. What I really love, like, Iroh has always been a fan favorite, but season 2, you especially get this idea that he is very much so sick of war, sick of the Fire Nation.
And I think he was fucked up, and then he changed, basically. You know what I mean? In a sense,
there was that episode, Tales from Ba Sing Se, where we learn about him losing his son in great detail and how he's still hurt deeply by that.
And so, when you sort of think about, things like that, I'm just gonna move the microphone. Because I imagine right now. But when you think about it that way, it's sort of like, I don't think he'll give up on Zuko, but yeah, at the same time, I was like, really, Zuko? Like, fucking really? Like, you wasted my time, you broke my heart, like, I don't know what to tell you. Because, I mean, I think that Zuko will get redeemed eventually, and here's the thing about that, right? Like, this is the part of Avatar, I guess, people have spoiled for me, right? Because people talk about like, ooh, it would be nice if Cinder could pull a Zuko, or if it would be nice if someone could pull a Zuko. And so you sort of understand what pulling a Zuko means after a while, right? And I don't blame anyone for that. I know that eventually he'll come around to something, right?
This is a show that is 15 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't really blame anyone for spoilers, right? They're using it as a pull a Darth Vader or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you can't be like...
It's like Darth Vader is Luke's dad, and Rosebud is the sled. It's just people know this already.
Like, you can't, you know...
The Titanic sinks, sorry.
Exactly, or like pulling a Titanic, whatever, right? And so pulling a Zuko, I have a very vague understanding, but here's the thing, I'm not mad about that being a spoiler, because I am baffled at how it's going to happen. Does that make sense? Like, the only GIF I have seen, or the only picture I have seen of Zuko post-redemption is him being like, that's rough, buddy. And I don't even know who he's talking to. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, how are we going to get from Azula, with him siding with Azula, over to whatever that is, right? And so that's why spoilers don't bother me, because this is about the journey. It's not about the ending. Like, it's like Legend of Korra. We obviously know Aang is probably going to stop the Fire Nation, sort of, because I feel like Legend of Korra, the sort of idea is like, hey, just because the war is over doesn't mean the countries have recovered from the war. So, you know, war is still bad, and there's still work to do, okay? Just because the war's over doesn't mean the job is done, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that it could sort of be something, you know, and it's just because I have sort of the inklings doesn't mean the journey is any less enjoyable, because I'm still very interested in how it all goes down to Pound Town, you know what I'm saying?
To Pound Town.
Yes.
That's actually what Book 4 was going to be called. Book 4 Pound Town.
Yes.
But, because of budget constraints, they decided to cap it off at 3 seasons. But, okay, so you don't quite know how Zuko is going to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, and I don't even, like, point B is redemption, but I'm like, what?
But, okay, so think about how he has changed from the first episode to
the end of obviously he has, to some extent, but then with Azula, it was like 3 steps backwards.
Do you think it was 3 steps backwards?
It was like a half a step backwards. It wasn't great, because here's the thing, like, his big thing was like, oh, I let Appa go instead of kidnapping him, and now he's just after Aang again, and like, Azula shot him in the chest, and it's just not going very well. You understand what I'm saying? And so, when you think about it like that, it's like, oh, Zuko, no. No.
I have a lot of feelings about Zuko, and why I think Zuko is an excellent, character.
He is. I'm frustrated with him, and I think that's a point of a good character, though. It's like, you can't always be happy with a character, you know what I mean? And we've talked about this, like, characters being human and making mistakes, and, like, whatever, right?
There's also a difference, I think, between, like, liking a character as thinking they're a, like, good person, and liking a character as that they're an interesting character.
And so, like, Zuko's an excellent character. I'm just like, stop it! What are you doing?
What I will say about what's interesting rewatching this again with you is that it's kind of, there's the idea that if you know the twist of something, or you know how something's gonna end, and it's no longer interesting to watch, it might have
I don't think that's true.
It was never good to begin with.
That's
the idea.
That's
but with Avatar, knowing where it's gonna go, it's still really interesting. I'm still wrapped up in the drama.
For example,
all over again.
I would say, like, Game of Thrones. I have no interest in rewatching
I don't
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I don't want to rewatch Game of Thrones. I would rather not. You know what I'm saying?
Before it ended, I had a lot of interest. I rewatched it multiple times, but now that it's done, it's
exactly.
Like,
and so I feel like with Code Geass, I'll rewatch Code Geass again, you know what I mean? And sort of those other...
I would rewatch Code Geass.
All those other anime, you know what I mean? Like the other anime
Gone
that I've
Girl,
done.
or we had both seen the film Knives Out recently. I feel like I would watch Knives Out again, because even though you know it's a whodunit and you know who did it...
You can look back and, like, sort of analyze that and, like, enjoy it and just be along...
Yeah, it's still good because the drama and the characters are still interesting.
I think even Persona, because Persona is sort of, again, like, Persona is getting re-released, it's coming out, and Persona sort of relies on a couple twists near the very end, like, you don't know who the true bad guy is, and you don't know who the other true bad guy is, and you don't know who the last true bad guy is. Like, there's a lot near the end where it's like, you thought he was the bad guy? Well, he is the bad guy. You thought he was the bad guy? Well, he is the bad guy. And so, you know, we had to get into that, but I would still replay Persona, and people are gonna be replaying Persona because Persona the Royal's coming out. But, you know, I don't know. I can't think of another game where I've just been like, okay, it's done. Fuck this shit. You know what I mean? I can't necessarily think of one like that. But yeah, I think Game of Thrones is a really good example.
I think Game of Thrones is an excellent example of like, now, okay, I know who did it. I know how this ends in a
even
big
to some extent, like stuff like Riverdale and stuff like that. Like, I feel like those CW shows are shows that sort of almost prey on having kids be like, well, what's gonna happen next week? But they don't ever want to rewatch it again because then when they find out, it's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, it's dumb by the end of it. You know what I'm saying?
Canadian hip hop legend Drake, all that hype don't feel the same next year.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't.
So, you know, anyway, we've been on this topic for a bit.
So what we're saying is Avatar is significantly better than Riverdale.
Yes, Avatar is better than so many things. Do you remember when we first started the channel, we were doing like Riverdale reviews?
We did 2 of them.
We did 2 of them. And I photoshopped my head on Archie, and then I photoshopped your head on Veronica. Like, that was...
Arguably, we should have kept on doing it. That, like, it wouldn't have been good for our souls, but arguably it might have been good for the channel.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, Avatar's just so good. Avatar's so good.
It was, so Zuko, what I thought you would be upset when it came to Zuko is his
romance.
One
more thing! Okay, yeah, so I was gonna get that, okay? I don't like that they're pushing Aang and Katara, okay? I don't like that because it seems like Aang and Katara are like sort of being pushed onto me, like, you know what I mean, like, by the writers. Like, it's like Aang is in love with Katara and he has to give up Katara, and Katara, you know, all that stuff. Okay, fuck that. Okay, fuck that. Okay, no, and I wonder about the chaos that happened when the show first came out, because, like, listen, I'm not convinced. Like, I still have hope, but at the same time, I don't know, like, it's hard to explain. You know, because I don't know I genuinely don't know if Aang and Katara are going to get together or not, but in my heart, I know. Does that make sense? Like, in my heart, I know that is going to be the canon answer, but at the same time, for some reason, I still have hope. Like, it's a weird in-between space to be in, because with the Zuko thing, that has been sort of explicitly spoiled, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, that has been like, yeah, I've seen the Zuko redemption thing. Right. Famously, he gets redeemed. But the Aang and Katara stuff, I've literally never heard anyone talk about, right? Or the Zuko and Katara stuff. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know. I am so mad.
You compared it to Harry Potter.
I did.
Hermione getting together with Ron.
I think that is what it is.
You're just going against what people thought was going to happen.
Okay, without being too spoilery, like, how did people feel about Aang and Katara, like, this season? Like, do you remember? I know you were, like, a little kid, but, like...
I wasn't exactly, like, on the playground. People
were like, did you see that new Avatar episode? Like, I'm sure it wasn't like that, but I'm like...
So as someone who's, like, enjoyed Avatar for a very long time and has talked to people who have liked it, yeah, there is some contentment that Katara and Zuko is a lot more dynamic and fleshed out than maybe other people that Zuko had shown an interest in, like that for example, being that random girl.
Yeah, I mean, that was fine. Like, they had a crush, whatever. They went out on a date. It's fine.
So without going into specifics,
because so here's the thing. Okay, Katara is Water Nation. Zuko is Fire Nation. Okay? Like, they both been burned. Like, they both have memories scarred by the Fire Nation.
They both have serious mommy issues.
They both have mommy issues. It's fine, right? Because their mom died. And then his mom disappeared. I don't know. His mom fucked off, whatever. And it's like, you know, like, they've both been hurt. And, like, she wants to give him the water, like, to heal his mark and all that stuff. Like, they just have such good, like interactions, you know what I mean? And it's like the yang and the fire and the water, and they come together.
I feel like
and they kiss,
interactions are a lot more, like, volatile, and like,
there's
like a lot going
tension.
On there.
There's like romantic tension. There's like weirdly romantical tension.
Not to say that Aang and Katara.
Well, here's the thing. Aang just has a crush on Katara. She's the first girl he's seen in 100 fucking years. How genuine are those feelings? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I think they still have moments together. Can you really
fall in love with someone if you've only known one man? You know what I mean? Like, you always think about this, like, with Rapunzel, okay? Like, Flynn Rider's a fucking, you know, He's pretty hot. Let's just all be honest. Flynn Rider is pretty attractive. But if Danny DeVito went up and saved Rapunzel, do you think that she would still be attracted to Danny DeVito? Because maybe she would be, because she's never met a man. She doesn't know what a man looks like. She
First
just got lucky.
If you thought all men looked like Danny DeVito, you're going to be disappointed when you see what actual men look like.
Well, you understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying it's like...
I got you. I think we're discrediting the amount of
And I know they spent a lot of time together, but she's the only girl.
But there's that.
And Toph isn't a girl. Okay, so here's the other thing. So Toph is a girl.
Yes.
But she's very tomboy, and I'm sure that there's also some debates about like, oh, they should have made Toph like non-binary or like gender fluid or something like that.
It was 2006.
You know what I mean?
That
Not
was
then. I'm just saying now. Like now,
Maybe.
that would be a sort of idea because she's a tomboy. She likes the mud. She does not want to dress all fancy with the makeup and the nonsense, okay? You know what I'm saying? Which if you want to do that, like, good for you, like, go ahead. But, you know, when I think about it, I'm sort of like, yeah, Toph is the honorary, like, you know how cartoons, there was one girly girl, but there was a guy and she was like, oh, you're the honorary Boy Scout or what, like, she's the honorary boy.
The Smurfette principle.
Exactly. And so I feel like it's one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, of course Aang wouldn't be interested in Toph because Katara's a girl. And Toph is not a girl. You know what I mean? Like, that's basically, like, in the terms of the writers. Like, they're like, nobody likes Toph, whatever. And, like, the other thing is, I'm like, I kind of like the idea of Toph and Sokka being together, which is a choice, which is an idea.
We talked about this, but in The Legend of Korra...
Right, so you said that Toph has, like, children, but her husband fucked off or something.
Toph has children. We never knew... who Toph had. We never know who the father is.
Yeah, I think somebody left a comment about that,
Could
too.
have been Sokka, for all we know.
Right. But yeah, I do not think that Zuko and Katara are gonna get together, and every time I think about it, I get thrown into a fit of rage. Okay, but here's what I think. I think that if Avatar were made today, they would do it.
Because there would be more shipping pressure?
Not necessarily shipping pressure, but I think that it's... I don't know. I just feel like the culture has changed. You know what I mean? It's like She-Ra and Catra. You know what I mean? Like, those things are more popular now. Mm-hmm. You know, like the She-Ra and the Catra dynamic of, like, one's a villain and one's a hero.
Oh,
and,
certainly.
Like, and the
Enemies to lovers is like,
you know, it's just much more, I don't know, because with the Aang thing, they may have thought, like, oh, let's wrap this up in a nice little bow. Like, Aang gets together with Katara or something. You know what I mean? Or at least Aang likes Katara and then Aang dies, I guess, because then Korra's the Avatar, so Aang must have died. I mean, everyone dies eventually. I'm just saying, like, you understand.
Eventually,
I'm just saying, eventually people die.
But like, you don't have to worry about...
But I'm just saying that Katara and Aang get together. What if that's what happens, okay? I would be happy with this, okay? It's Legend of Korra.
Yes.
Aang is dead. Yeah. Katara's an old woman, and she gets with Zuko, okay? That's acceptable. That's fine. Yeah. So
years later, wait for him to die, and you bang his best friend.
Exactly.
Katara, you fucks. You stone cold fucks.
Years later, yeah, exactly.
That's certainly an idea. Boy, howdy.
You know what else I would like, okay?
What would you like, Cal?
The Avatar live-action remake, alright? I want to make a petition. I want to create a petition to get Netflix to change everything in Avatar so Katara gets with Zuko.
I would actually agree with that, because I feel like doing a one-to-one translation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the anime, into a live-action show.
And if it's live-action,
well.
and the actors are sort of older,
yes.
You know, in that teen angst sort of area, does that make sense? Like, you know, the Riverdales and the sort of stuff like that. Again, Avatar's not Riverdale. I'm just trying to say,
Can you imagine Sokka going up to Aang?
Teen girls like the angst, okay? That's all I'm saying. Like,
I'm a weirdo. I'm weird. You don't understand me. I'm gonna go write my novels and eating burgers.
No, I'm just saying it's
what is Sokka other than a jughead?
I'm just saying teen girls like Zuko and Katara, but with other characters. So just remake Avatar, because you're making live action, right? It's sort of seen for a more mature audience. So go with the more mature romance.
I mean,
option.
It's not going to be like The Witcher and splashing blood and like titties, but
so.
I mean, I would actually be okay with that change, just because I'm
Have the
I'm
Avatar
okay with
writers
the
ever
change.
talked about this? Like, have they ever been like, yeah, we actually regret?
To my understanding, no.
Oh.
There is some interesting things that would have happened had they been allowed to do a fourth season.
Yeah.
But they didn't do a fourth season.
Right.
Because they did the M. Night Shyamalan live action film instead, which is notorious for being one of the single worst.
I know that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, because like J.K. Rowling was like, yeah, I guess Harry should have gotten with Hermione.
First off,
and then in the play, Hermione and Harry have an affair and stuff, like in the stage play. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh god, I read that book, but it's so boring.
Like in the Twisty play, they're having an affair. Wait, are they having an affair? I may have just made that up.
No, I don't think that happened.
That may not be true. Okay.
No.
Because, you know what I watched? I watched an Austin McConnell video on him rewriting the Harry Potter play. He may have said that Harry and Hermione have an affair. He may have done that rewrite to make it more interesting. Anyway, same concept.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we putting Hermione with Ron, okay? Just to be contrarian, alright?
I think just because they didn't want to expect it. I think they just thought that, like, oh, it's the boy, the girl.
Stop!
There's the boy, the girl, the brother, and the girl that's the boy. And so,
yeah,
the girl and the boy
and
have to go
like
together.
That. Knock it off.
You feel contrary to that.
Let Aang die alone. Let him give up
So
Katara like Katara be with Zuko.
So we have a new character, because that's a good point. It used to be a trio, but this trio's up to 4. How do you feel about Toph?
Oh, Toph is the best.
Toph was very good. How do you... Okay, so I just want to run off, like, general feelings to, like, newer characters. Azula, that's a new addition.
Yeah, Azula is fucking crazy. Like, she's crazy.
People love Azula.
I love Azula, and it's very interesting because you think that... And this is a kid's show, right? So, like, don't come for me. But you would think that with that character... Usually with characters like that, they make them sexy. And Azula's not sexy, and I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like, you have the cinders and the lusts and all of those things of the world. Like, Azula sort of kind of would fall into that category if this was an anime, but I like that they didn't make her sexy. And I like that because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like with lust, it's like her boobs are out and all of that stuff, and it's her appearance and her voice, and like that's obviously she's lust, okay? But you know, with Cinder, it's the same thing. I'm not complaining about that, but I'm saying with Azula, it's that she's cutthroat and ruthless and intelligent.
She's almost like
and all
asexual in her characterization.
Yeah, and so I really like that because
she doesn't want. Like,
so here's the thing:
she doesn't
you
like
have
people.
you have the girl, the brother, the girl who's not a girl, and then you have the boy, and the boy and the girl get together. But then you have a character that is very, dare I say, feminist and modern in Azula, where she's very asexual in a sense in her character. I guess feminist is a weird word just because she's evil.
She's pretty
right? But you understand what I mean? I mean in terms of character design. It's not like she's not...
Oh.
You know, like her and May and like, and I get that they're kids, right? So that's the other thing. It's a children's show, right?
Made in America, too.
And so it's one of those things where they aren't sort of like older and sort of using their attractiveness to win somehow.
Do you think that... I feel like they don't use that motif in Avatar.
No, I don't think that they
never
use it at all.
That. But other people, like
but
other
that's a trope
do.
that usually
certainly
goes
that's a trope.
along
yes.
sort of with like, it's the boy and the girl and they get together and there's the hot and sexy girl, but they have to resist because this girl is not like all the other girls. You understand what I mean? Like you sort of get caught up in that sort of dynamic. So I like that Azula is, she is sort of asexual, like, sort of in her characterization. And it's interesting, too, because, like, she gets a doll from Iroh, and she fucking burns it, or whatever. Like, I don't remember exactly what she did to it. She uses it for fucking target practice.
It's like that line from the Addams Family. It's like, oh, girls all have that on their mind around this age. Boys? Murder.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where it's like, she almost rejects the standard sort of gender norms. Like, Zuko gets a sword, you get a doll, Azula, and she's like, fuck the doll.
I want to kill people.
Exactly, and so I kind of like that. Like, I really enjoy that as a character. I really enjoy that as a choice. I really enjoy that.
How do you feel about Zuko and Azula's dynamic together? Because that's definitely
interesting because who's older again?
Zuko is.
Yeah, Zuko is older, but Azula fucking trashes him around like he's the little brother, you know what I mean? And so, I don't know, I find it interesting because I feel like she's literally just a psychopath, in a sense. Like, she grew up with like psychopathic tendencies, but the other thing is, it's that girl thing. It's right, like, oh well, Zuko's the firstborn, he's gonna be the heir, he's gonna be the strong one, right? And so she's sort of disproving that she's the second-born daughter, right? Again, because like, here's the thing, right? There hasn't really been that much sexism in Avatar, except for the fucking Water Nation people that were like,
the
you
Water
can't
Nation.
do that, you're a girl. And so I don't know about the Fire Nation, but I feel like it does sort of bleed into that, where Azula, like, I feel like that is also why they decided to go with the sort of asexual thing, and like, she's not necessarily wearing a dress, like, she's kind of, but she's not, like, you know what I mean?
She's not.
Like, it's very much,
she's got pants, you know, she's combat ready.
yeah, she's combat ready. You know what I mean? I just, like, there's a lot of flowy clothing on a lot of different characters, and so you're sort of like, you know what I mean? But I think that's just what they wear. Like, some of them are wearing robes, right? That's not a dress, it's a robe or whatever, right? But yeah, she's combat ready, you know, all that stuff.
How do you feel about her friends, her entourage?
I think May?
Yes.
Yeah, like, she's...
Moody?
Wait, which one's which?
Ty Lee is the one that can block people's
I was thinking of her. I thought
and
that
May
I
is
got
the one that
confused.
throws knives.
Moody is interesting just because, like, I don't know, it seems like, I can't remember her backstory exactly, but like, her parents were Fire Nation.
Yes, her parents were generals, and they
and so she's just basically high up there.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's a circus girl who seems, like, this is where I would, again, change the Avatar live action and have her be in love with Azula or something. She seems a little manipulated by Azula that way. And again, I don't want to, like, again, I like that they haven't sexualized them, but it reminds me a lot of Emerald and Cinder.
Yes.
And Emerald sort of being under Cinder's manipulation and probably having a crush on Cinder and, like, all that stuff. So that's what that reminds me of.
I think, too, but it's also interesting that, like, she and Ty Lee initially didn't want to join.
Yeah.
Until, like, Azula threatened to basically try to kill her every night at her job, and she's like, looks like I'm coming with you now.
Yeah, basically.
I think that's very interesting for her, very telling of their dynamic.
So I would sort of like that if she had a crush on her. But which one has a crush on Zuko? Or is it both of them?
I don't
one
think
of them has a crush on Zuko.
Is that particularly clear yet? That May or that Moody?
I thought it was Moody. Does Moody have a crush on Zuko? No, one of them does, because one of them blushes when they both fall in the pond, right? There's that scene where, like, they force them both in the pond or something, and so I was just like, oh.
I believe that was
like
Moody.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so she has a crush on Zuko.
But, I mean, look at that.
If she ends up getting with Zuko instead of Katara, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. I'm gonna be so angry unless she gets some real character development, because, like, they are basically static characters, which is fine. Like, not every character needs a big character development.
Arguably, Azula's pretty static as well.
Yeah, they all are, and they're pretty fun.
Iroh's
right?
static.
They're fun, but if you're gonna make someone get into a romance with Zuko, I feel like they shouldn't be static. They should be kind of important, you know?
Do you think that they could be static and yet help Zuko come to the other side?
Like, to the good side?
Yes.
But then it would be leaving her, and so if she has a crush on him, like, what good is that? You understand what I'm saying? I'm thinking of this, like, from the romance perspective, you have to have a character who's at least a little more developed than they are for romance, is what I'm
So we kind of gone through the new characters, the new dynamics, the new themes. What are your predictions? Where do you think this is going? Because you mentioned the romances before.
I literally have no idea. Like, I don't know how Zuko is going to... Like, I don't know how long he's going to stay with Azula. Iroh's getting arrested. I think that's the last thing that happened to him. Aang should be okay now, but I'm like, where are they going? Because they couldn't really get the Earth King to change his mind, clearly, and now the Fire Nation took over the Earth King, so where are they going? We don't know.
So you don't really see.
You really don't know. I don't see a clear path.
That's really good, because they really wanted, I think, the end of season 2 to be a gut punch, because at the end of season 1, it's like, yeah, we beat the Fire Nation at the North Pole. We can do this.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is too, right? I think he started to get not worried, but like I was like, oh, the Kyoshi warriors are gonna be Azula and co. And then I predicted something else, and then something else, and I'm sure you were sitting there like, is Cal just gonna figure out the rest of the show? But now I literally don't know where to go, and that's probably good, like for me. You know what I'm saying? So, that's good for us.
The next book is called Fire. First one was Water.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously they're gonna defeat the Fire Nation.
Okay.
I hope.
But how do you think that manifests?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Any guess?
I mean,
allies they can call on?
Zuko's gonna come join them eventually, maybe, or just be good or something, right? But like, like, even if they have Zuko, it's like, you still don't have a fucking army. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how they're gonna do it unless they just assassinate the Fire Nation
they
king,
talk about
you know?
they talk about Sozin's comet.
Yeah, I know about the comet.
And
right?
the Sozin comet, and they
I'm
talk
just
about
saying the only way I could see things going well for them is if they just kill the Earth King and then Zuko be's king, and then he stops the war, and that's how it ends. You know what I mean?
How do you think I said Sozin comet, I meant the eclipse, the lunar, or the
Yeah,
lunar
isn't
eclipse.
that the same thing? Like
No, Sozin's comet gives a Fire
right,
Nation
so
more power.
The eclipse.
Eclipse takes all fire bending powers away from them.
Because here's the thing, like, firebending matters, but it also doesn't, okay?
Because
they have
still have a
machines
standing army.
and stuff, like, they still have an army, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so, I don't know, I just feel like maybe, because instead of incapacitating an entire army, right, because that
think they
sounds,
might just
maybe
whack
they may just
the one
whack
guy?
the Earth King, or the Fire King,
Fire Lord?
yeah, and then Azula and Zuko can duke it out to see who's, you know, in charge. But Zuko's firstborn, I know he's disowned, but, like, we can look past that, it's okay.
So do you think...
Here's what I think.
So you
They've
think
sort of built up everyone loves Iroh. Okay?
Yes.
Everyone fucking loves Iroh. You know, and the army people love Iroh, and the... What am I trying to say? Everyone
The
loves
Pai Sho
Iroh
people
no
love
matter
him?
who you are.
Yes.
The Pai Sho people love Iroh. The Fire
Toph
Nation
loves
loves
him.
Iroh. Toph loves Iroh. Everyone fucking loves Iroh, right?
Animal
So what if
children, women,
Iroh is
men.
how it happens? Like, Iroh is like, okay, the king's dead. You're gonna trust Zuko now, and then everyone just goes with it, because it's Iroh. You know?
But the show's not called Iroh the Last
No!
Decent Firebender.
I know, I'm just saying, well, that's like, what if Aang
Okay.
and them take down the Fire Lord, and then Iroh's the one who convinces everyone, like, hey, you can follow Zuko now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that Aang will still do it, okay? He'll still, I don't know, do whatever he needs to do or whatever, right? He'll bring the nations in harmony. But I'm just saying that after, it may take some convincing because you have Iroh who people like, and then you have Azula who people fear. And so Zuko has to become a leader that has a little bit of both so people will follow him when his father is dead.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say.
So maybe do you think that's going to be a part of Zuko's growth, is becoming more of a leader and not just following Azula?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
These are very interesting takes, because it's been so long since I've talked to someone who didn't know how this ended.
Yeah, because, I don't know, the way I'm thinking about it is they can't take down the whole army unless something drastic really happens next season, which it may and probably will, to be honest. Like, it probably is going to, but I'm just thinking, like, what would be the easiest way to do this? You just kill the Fire Lord, and then you get the rest of the generals to listen to you. Or maybe you kill them too. And then all you have are underlings who will listen to you because you're Zuko and Iroh basically, like, elected for, or advocated for your candidacy. But this
That's
isn't a
sort of what
democracy
happened,
anyway.
yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's my idea.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah, because isn't
interesting.
that what happened? Like, isn't that how Iroh got the men on Zuko's ship in the first place?
They just
because
really like
Iroh
him. Yeah.
told them to, and so I'm like, if Iroh can tell them to do anything, Iroh can be like, let's kill the Earth King, and then Zuko can rule the world, right?
Or I guess there's no Earth King. There's just a deposed
Sorry,
Earth
Fire
King.
King.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was talking about.
I like how the Earth King is now just roaming the world with his bear friend.
No.
I respect that. So I guess we're going into season 3.
Like this,
The book 3
like
Fire.
this.
Oh boy.
It is kind of sad though, because I just wonder if they wanted to do 4 seasons, like,
Although
it makes me sad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how much of a 4th season do they want to do? Like, is this for the best, or, you know?
I think it is for the best, because I've heard they've talked about things that they were planning on doing.
Okay.
That
They weren't really good. Like, what?
that generally speaking I disagree with.
Oh.
And that I don't think would have been great, or were left better as they were in. There was some stuff that I think they could have added to. They didn't need an extra season, but I think they could have rearranged
Sure.
the 3rd season to be a little stronger.
Sure.
To have a couple different moments with, especially Zuko and his relations with different characters.
You know what I was thinking is that, okay, so in Miraculous Ladybug, spoilers for Miraculous Ladybug, okay? There was this ancient temple of the Guardians, okay? And the Guardians basically were accidentally all eaten by a Senti monster that was created by Master Fu, because Master Fu was going through fasting, having to guard the miraculouses without eating, and he accidentally used one to go get him some food, and then that turned into him having sort of this desire for hunger,
moments before the disaster.
A senti monster that ate everything. And so the senti monster ate everything, right? And then the senti monster, like, fell into some lava and was picked up as a fossil, like, in a museum. And so the senti monster breaks out, and, like, Ladybug and Cat Noir have to stop it and get the amok, which is what powers the senti monster. And basically what happens is that Ladybug stops, and then, you know, after it's finished, like, after everything is restored, because she does, like, her miraculous Ladybug, and then everything gets fixed, all the people just go back to the temple's fixed, and the people that are like 1,000 years old dead, they all come back. You know what I mean? It's the people that the temple got rebuilt. The people who died 100 years ago or got eaten and just spent 100 years in the senti monster's stomach, they came back, and all of that stuff. So you know what I mean? Like, they were all back, and they were all alive, and they were all just like, we haven't actually seen them in the show yet, but I'm like, are they really gonna have the Guardians, like, all just come back from the dead, and then we're never gonna talk about it? Does that make sense? Like, in terms of miraculous, like, no one's ever gonna visit Marinette and be like, knock, 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 why do you have the Ladybug miraculous? Because you're not supposed to have that, right? Like, you know, so I was sort of thinking about that sort of concept, and obviously the airbenders can't come back because they've been killed.
Dead,
like, they've been murdered, right? Like, they've been murdered with no point of return.
Genocide, actually,
they've
is
been
the
genocided,
word
right? I'm saying they're
use.
not like miraculous where they just magically disappeared and you can bring them back, but like, wouldn't that be nice? If there were some more earthbend, because after Aang, doesn't that mean airbending is dead? Like, doesn't that mean that no one will ever be an airbender ever again?
Unless he had kids.
Oh. Go forth and multiplying. Okay. Here's my problem with that, too.
Yes.
It's like the idea from Ruby that Ozpin created the Silver-Eyed Warriors by fucking regular humans, because then I'm just like, well, you have a duty to do to the world, okay? You have to go out there and impregnate every single woman that you can to make more Silver-Eyed Warriors. I'm being serious. Stop laughing. So with Aang,
I mean, you're not wrong. I guess it would be really.
Aang ends up with Katara, and they have, like, what, 2 kids or something? You know what I mean? Like, and what if only one of them gets airbending? It's like, no, Aang, stop being monogamous. Okay? Monogamous. Okay, your duty is to go out there and fuck as many women as possible and bring back all the airbenders. Bring back all the airbenders. I'm serious.
This is you know how every once in a while people will make really, really trashy fan fictions where it's just like, X character fucks the universe. And you just want to see, I don't know, like Rey from Star Wars bang every male character.
I'm just saying.
I feel like there's an Avatar version of that.
Maybe.
Where grown-up Aang bangs every single woman.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, you have to fix the airbender population. I'm serious. Like, you have to, right? And
wow, I did not think that the sequel to the Avatar would be a softcore porn where Aang goes around the world like Leisure Suit Larry and boinks the universe.
Like, after Korra dies, there's gonna be an Earth one, and after the Earth dies, there will be a Fire one, and eventually we'll circle back to having an Airbender, but, like...
Also, by that point, like... So let's say, hypothetically, Aang has, like, 3 kids.
Sure.
And, like, they're all Airbenders.
Right.
Right? And then...
They have 3 kids.
They have 3 kids, they have 3 kids, and they have 3 kids. And so by the time, in like 3 generations, or however long it takes for it to come back to air, you probably have like a 1 in 200 chance of being the next Avatar. Do you have to be an airbender? You would have to be an air avatar? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you would have to be an air... yeah, because it bounces from a waterbender to a... Yeah. Waterbender. So you then have like a 20% chance, or like a 1 in 200 chance, which is pretty good compared to all the other chances of being the Avatar. Like, that'd be a pretty sweet deal, especially if you're like pregnant in and around that time. Yeah. Because typically it manifests young. That would be super. I mean, I don't think they're gonna do a third Avatar series about like, and here's an Earthbender, guys.
Someone's calling my phone with no caller ID, so maybe we should just wrap up this video with the Aang fucking and answer the phone. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Hope
Third
you guys
season.
enjoyed.
We're reacting to it.
Bye.